Now, here's the PR Newswire report up on Infowars.com. 1,270 architects, engineers reveal hard evidence of explosive demolition at World Trade Center on 9/11. And the Sun Herald, Forbes, Yahoo, Breitbart, and others did report on the big press conference and the breaking, incredible information. A lot of new 9/11 info coming out. We can just add to the huge stack of proof that the official story is a complete hoax and a lie. And now the founder, well over 1,200 members of Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, Richard Gage, joins us to recap this breaking information and give us even more intel on what's been coming out. Richard, good to have you here with us.
Thank you, Alex. It's great to be here with you. Always an honor.
Well, you've got the floor in the remainder of the hour. Tell us about this breaking info and why it's so important, on top of the new NIST footage that was forced to be released with lawsuits, the National Standards Group, that again shows Building 7 being blown up. Go ahead.
Well, indeed, Building 7 is the smoking gun of 9/11. The evidence is clear that all three World Trade Center high-rises excuse me, were brought down by explosive demolition, and we now have almost 1,280 architects signed on to our petition demanding a new investigation. We were yesterday at 2 p.m. At the National Press Club presenting all of this evidence, well, much of it in the first 10 minutes at the press conference. We followed that immediately with a mock debate where we took statements from about 10 supporters of the official story, including Sham Sunder and John Gross of NIST, and the guys from Popular Mechanics, and Michael Shermer, and a host of other supporters, Bazant and David Thomas, who we've been in debates with. We used their statements, publicly made statements, in this press conference to take off from and present these points of evidence, because they were not willing to come and debate with us publicly at the press club. So we presented their statements for them. And Senator Mike Gravel was with us at the press conference and debate, and he presented a very, very powerful plea for an investigation and support of the family members of the victims of 9/11, who are calling, many of whom are calling upon us, the architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth, to get to the truth, to get to the evidence. And that's what we've been doing, and that's what we presented. We presented the evidence of explosive nanothermite composite materials found in the dust samples throughout the lower Manhattan, landed like a blanket, 4 to 12 inches thick. This is very, very high-tech material, explosives found in the dust, completely ignored, and in fact they denied that they found any evidence. NIST did, and later they acknowledged that they never looked for it. Now they will not look for it, even though it's been documented in a 25-page peer-reviewed paper on the Bentham Open Chemical Physics Journal, uncontested for the last year and a half. Not only do we find the evidence of these chips, of small red-gray chips of nanocomposite materials, but the results of that fairly explosive material, which is the iron microspheres, billions of them found in all the World Trade Center dust, previously molten iron microspheres. 6% of the weight of these dust samples, in many cases, are composed of these. Well, this is evidence that they sustain temperatures exceeding the melting point of iron, which is 2,800 degrees. But office fires and jet fuel only get to be about half that temperature. So
you've got this now from hundreds of sources, from all the different buildings and apartments, and the different groups that have records of this, and from memorials. I mean, this is now the evidence chain over and over again confirmed.
Oh yeah, there's no question. They can't fight it. It's completely an airtight, solid case, and not only with that, but even the evidence that FEMA came up with in their Appendix C, the documentation that these steel girders looked like Swiss cheese. They're melted, and other stuff.
And we have the firefighters on video on national TV saying there was molten iron, like a foundry, like a volcano, molten, and we have the NASA photos weeks later, thousands of degrees, way above jet fuel. I mean, they used something in there that had molten slag 3-4 weeks later.
Absolutely, and there's documentation of that in videos and photos, in addition to the dozens of witnesses seeing all this molten metal running, and it's clearly molten iron. Tests have been done on it by physicists. It's not melted copper or aluminum or something like that. This is several tons of it underneath all three World Trade Center high-rises, reminding your listeners that there was a third skyscraper 47 stories tall, Building 7, which dropped in 6.5 seconds straight down uniformly suddenly and at free-fall acceleration into its own footprint. This is like a house of cards, a pile 4 stories tall. This is clearly a controlled demolition. When we show the architects and engineers about this, as we did in the press conference last night, it dropped their jaws as well, because they know that's a controlled demolition. Everybody does. This is intuitive. A building can't fall at free fall acceleration and crush anything on the way down. If it's going to do work like crushing columns, it's got to slow down. And NIST even acknowledged that this was a free fall acceleration. So it's unbelievable, all the evidence that lines up for the explosive controlled demolition, and CNN was there with their cameras at the press conference in Washington, D.C., at the National Press Club, and we're hoping that they have the courage to put this on the air. We've got coverage in Utica, New York, from one of our 60 press conferences that were held concurrently around the world. Utica, New York has it on TV. Phoenix had it on TV. So we'll find out who else has the courage to expose the crime of the century.
Well, the point is you're gaining ground. More and more evidence is piling up, confirming the previous evidence. And this is one small spectrum of the evidence. You've got CNN and BBC reporting Building 7 had fallen an hour and then 25 minutes before, and giving the away it officially did fall later, so they were right. I said they were clearly fed some type of news feed and that the government jumped the gun with kind of a false start, and later the BBC admitted Reuters gave them an internal report about Building 7 falling from fires more than an hour before it fell, but they went with it 25 minutes before it fell. You have the police saying, get back, they're bringing down Building 7 on CNN, and it is being reported that we've got Breitbart, Sun Herald, Forbes, Yahoo, and others in print media are reporting on this information now. So you're really breaking through that electronic Berlin Wall, and when people actually look at the evidence, they find out the official story is a fairy tale.
And we took this evidence in our DVDs and brochures and our new newspaper, the 9/11 Investigator. We took all this information to every office of Congress in the last 2 days prior to the press conference. We handed it to staffers. We had many conversations, in fact, appointments, where we sat down with 20 minutes and showed Building 7 coming down and the Twin Towers coming down to these staffers and science advisors. And we did deliver packets to all 541 congressional offices. And we have a few more to go to follow up this week. But they have the information, and they're going to be held accountable, our congresspersons, by their constituents. We have supporters, of course, in the 9/11 Truth Movement all throughout, in every congressional office, and we're going to be having them do the follow-up for us directly with their local offices. It's a political activity as well, trying to get an investigation. That's the mission of AE 9/11 Truth, a real investigation that accounts for the evidence of thermite, nanothermite, free-falling buildings, very explosive information that evidence that has to be gotten into the public record. They're just not going to be able to run away from it for very much longer.
Richard, I think they're trying to overshadow your research, Dr. Jones's research, my work, and many others that are out there taking action. And the fact that polls show globally, not just in the U.S., but more and more statistically, people are not buying the official fable that was the pretext for the wars, the domestic takeover, the naked body scanners, all of it. But I think you've got this Rockefeller-funded, Fox News owner-funded mosque. I don't think the imam's bad, but he's clearly a globalist, goes to the Davos forums. You've got this kind of, I guess, Christian Zionist-type church out in Florida that is wanting to burn the Koran. And whereas I support the free speech rights and the property rights of the mosque builders. And I support this preacher's right to the First Amendment to burn the Koran. I don't like it, but I have to support his right. Bottom line, I see the media hyping this to create a clash of civilizations ahead of an Iran strike. I mean, this is perfect timing to kind of re-invoke 9/11 and Muslims and Christians at each other's throats. And so that's why it's so important that you're doing this and other people are doing this right now, and they've got the TV ad running very successfully in New York with the victims' families calling for a new investigation and talking about Building 7. So it's great to see real patriots who love truth on the offensive as a counteroffensive. Do you agree that all this mosque stuff and burn the Koran stuff looks pretty suspicious right now?
Oh, yeah, but in addition, what we're doing is we're having a press conference for that reason right in front of the new Building 7 at the corner of Vesey and Greenwich Streets. A press conference tomorrow, Saturday at 2 p.m. In order to, and we're getting this press advisory out today to I don't know, 100 media outlets inside of New York, so we can have them come and listen to the family members decry this non-issue, so we can get to the real issue, which is the explosive demolition of
That's
the
right. The surviving firefighters, police, medical workers, the families, surviving victims, they've already been out and had press conferences, and I'm glad you're having another one saying, look, we don't want to hear about the mosque. We want the health care we've been denied, and we want a new investigation. Yes, of
Building 7 and the Twin Towers controlled demolition. I mean, this is the story of the century, don't you think? It is, Alex. Some enterprising journalist could break this story and get it published and take all the credit for all the work we've been doing for 9 years.
Well, that's right. The media really doesn't want the families and the victims and the families' victims. I mean, they don't want them to be seen out there. They want to use the pain of 9/11 as the pretext for more war and control, and they want to speak for the families of the victims. But so that's why it's important people actually hear the families themselves.
And those families will be there at the press conference calling upon 1,270 architects and engineers to investigate the evidence which points to the real cause of the death of their family members. So we're happy to be supportive technically to that pursuit of justice, truth.
And that's tomorrow in front of the new Building 7, Larry Silverstein's building at 2 o'clock.
That's right.
Now, we're going to go to break in a moment, come back with the final segment with Richard Gage. But, Richard, get back into this new evidence. I mean, you guys have been able to really triple confirm all this, and why this press conference yesterday was so important.
Well, these microspheres, the iron microspheres, are endemic in all of the World Trade Center dust, and in fact, USGS found them and documented them first, and other environmental firms like R.J. Lee. These previously molten iron microspheres comprise 6% of the dust in some cases found on top of the Deutsche Bank building, everywhere really. And by the way, they say supporters of the official story will say, "Oh, that's just from the cleanup equipment and the welding and so forth." No, these are up on top of the high-rises. They're collected, even in some samples, 10 minutes on the Brooklyn Bridge. A sample was collected within 10 minutes of the collapse of the towers. So, no, these are not polluted, and it's documented very well by official sources. These have the evidence in them, the chemical evidence of thermite, including aluminum, iron, oxygen, silica, other very, very clear chemical fingerprint of thermite.
All right, Richard Gage, stay there. Final segment straight ahead, then a news blitz and your phone calls.